Hey, what's up, fam? How you guys doing, man? I thought I'd give you a little bonus video. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to bring you guys more content. Okay, and I guess all this is going to come with the organizing of my systems and stuff. I'm trying to get everything organized because I want to create way more content. And the reason being is, guys, I have a lot I want to say to you folks, man. I got a lot I want to talk about. Mhm. And so, in order for me to up my output, then I got to get things together. But I'm planning on rocking and rolling with that. I got a new setup, man. I got some new lights that I'm trying out. I'm shooting with a different camera than what I used to before the last day or so. And I also got another camera I just got in that's made by the same company that I gotta test. But your guy is trying to figure out this content game. And content, man. Content is like the foundation of everything I'm doing because everything I'm doing is built on top of content. Even my publishing company, it's just content in writing, right? Content in printed format. But no, I love me some content, and man, look, there's a lot of people out here getting free with this content, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today. As I look across the landscape and I'm evaluating what people are doing out here to generate money in today's world market economy, especially people that's out here working outside of jobs, I'm seeing a lot of cool and unique business models out here, and some of the ways that people are making money, man, is really really interesting. And I was telling myself the other day, I said I got to figure out some kind of content, all right, that I can record where I share a lot of these ways with you guys. I'm gonna get it figured out, but I got an idea for something just like what we're doing right now, something very raw that I could just sit down and talk with you guys about some of these ideas that I'm seeing. And what I'm really seeing out here that's really amazing me is not just the ideas. Excuse me, guys. It's not just the ideas, but it's the mindset of people today. So many people right now have got disgusted, man, with the norm. Or they got disgusted with things being as they always have been. And when I say that there are so many people that are starting to move outside the box when it comes to how they go about living this thing that we call life. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people, man, I mean, and I don't care what race, age, any of that. What I'm hearing and seeing is that a lot of people are wanting to get what they call free, right? And freedom means different things to different people. All right. But it's a common theme that you see. A lot of people are just tired of being tied down to old ideas, old ways of doing things, old methods, old strategies that have left them either broke, unfulfilled, um, where they feel that they are captive, right? And and the things that people are doing to get free or can be very radical, right? But they're very interesting because they're doing things outside the box, man, outside the box. Like when you think about it, the whole van life, living out your car, living out your truck, living out your van, um, that used to be back in the day, but it wasn't as big as it is today. A lot of people started realizing, how expensive rent was, mortgages were, and a lot of people wanted to get off from under that burden, right? So they started looking at these alternative ways of living. And you fast forward it from just a couple of years ago, man, and that whole idea has came to the forefront, and there's literally millions of people that have gotten rid of homes, all right, got rid of addresses, and instead chose to go out and take some of their money, man, and equip a nice vehicle that allows for them to be able to have a home on wheels, and they travel around the country. And the crazy thing is that when you look at it, you're like, why didn't so many people think of this before? Why didn't they do that before? Why did it take this long for people to really start catching on to that? But now I remember in the past, it used to be like a stigma. You were like a hippie or something like that, or a gypsy. And now, man, that's one of the coolest things to do. And I done seen some really, really cool setups. Everything from basic all the way to really, really in depth builds in vans, trucks, and cars and stuff like that. I love the concept. I love the ideal of it because I be sitting here thinking because I like to watch a lot of it, and I'd be like, these people are free, man. Think about it. You can literally go drive anywhere in the country and wake up to any setting or scene as long as you got the money to get there, and it's not a vacation, right? It's your life. And when you think about like remote work right now, how a lot of people are able to make money using the internet, and they don't have to have a fixed location with what they're doing. Now that type of work environment mixed with a nomadic lifestyle um, creates freedom, right? And a lot of people have opted to do that to get free. And I've even seen people do this with living overseas. They'll set things up here in the States in a way to where they can leave, but they're still making money in US dollars, but they're doing arbitrage. They're living in another country where that US dollar might multiply to 10, 15, 20 in that currency. And so they're making money in US dollars, but they're spending money in whatever currency it is, and it's making their money go way further than what it would be. And as I was looking at a lot of these stories and stuff, I was thinking about people like even like myself, how I was able to escape, from the job situation. And no, it hasn't been all roses. No, I haven't been able to come out here and, as of right now, do what I really envisioned doing, but I got free, right? And the thing that I guess I want to stress today on today's video is that as I look out and I'm doing my research on how people are getting free out here and how they're staying free, um, it all boils down to making a decision, coming to grips in your mind and saying, okay, look, I'm not going to go another day living like I'm living, being who I am. And this is what I want my life to look like, having clarity. Okay, this is what I want my life to look like. All right. And then looking over here and saying, this is the price that I'm going to have to pay, or this is what I'm going to have to acquire to be able to make that transition and make a run at living the kind of life I want to live so I can be free. And then putting your head down and saying, okay, look, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit a year to working very, very hard at acquiring whatever I need to acquire, whether it's skill set, money, whatever. But I'm going to work very hard for a year so I can have the rest of my life. All right. And when I say it's people out here going hard, they're going hard. I read stories or watch videos of people that's working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They cut out all the distractions in their lives, no friends, no extracurricular events. They just hustling, working hard, and stacking their money, right? So they can get free. They have a certain number they're trying to hit because that number allows them to be able to go out and be able to acquire what they need to acquire to be free, whether that's a car, whether that's a truck, a van, or to have so many months in advance, a year in advance, 2 years worth of living expenses. But they're putting their heads down and they're working for a year. I've seen other people that said, okay, look, I need to make a transition as far as my career. And if I make this transition, then I can have enough money and I will have the freedom to be able to untether myself from this type of lifestyle and become free and mobile. And I watch a lot of those people. They're making their plans, right? And then they're putting their heads down and they're working hard for a year in order to get to where they need to be at to be free. Now, I guess the thing that I want to ask you guys is, What are you willing to sacrifice and give up in order for you to be free? Let's say, for instance, you're working a job, but you don't like that job. You're like, okay, look, I want to go find me a different job, but I need to find something that's going to pay me what I'm getting paid or pay me more. All right. What are you going to do in order to make that happen? Do you need to go out and level up on your skills? All right. Do you need to take some more classes, get a degree? What do you need to do? And then when are you going to do it? All right. When are you going to do it? You might be the kind of person saying, okay, look, I want to launch a business that I could run remotely. That way, I won't be tethered to a certain location. I can travel. I can live where I want to live at. What I would tell you is that in order to accomplish that, that's not a complicated thing anymore. There are so many blueprints and frameworks out here of how people done this. But the thing that you're going to have to do once you tap into a framework or a blueprint that makes sense to you, you're going to have to put your head down and you're going to have to work. And what I want to ask you is, are you willing to work for a year? Put your head down and hustle for a year in order to make that plan that you're putting together for you to be location independent happen. And see, this is the thing, man. This is the thing. And I listen to what people say. I always listen to stories of people that's been got free one way or the other. Whether it means free from a job, free from a location, free, all right? Free financially, free time wise. And the people always say that if they knew that it was going to feel as good as it felt, they would have did it faster, harder, right? That's what you have to figure out on your end. It's not a it's not like if it's a like there's an issue with can you do it? There's very few things in today's world that you can't do that somebody else hasn't already done. When you look out there, we have all type of models and frameworks of how people are doing some very cool things, some very out the box things, some very untraditional things to get free, and they're doing it over and over again. So now it's not a theory. Now it's not, well, maybe you can do it. No, there's so many references out there. That's not the problem anymore. All right, infrastructure. All right, how do you do this? Software, hardware, skill set, internet, networking. It's all there. There is no like I was listening to a story the other day, and it was a lawyer, a young African American lawyer, and she was living like in Costa Rica somewhere, but she still had a law practice in California, and it was somewhere else. And I say, how is this woman doing this? She was running a remote law firm. She only had a certain type of client, all right? And I can't remember if it was criminal. I think it was corporate. All right, she only has a certain type of client, and she uses technology such as Zoom and Google Meets to meet with her clients and to be able to conversate with her clients via video chat. Everything else, man, is digital. All her documents, paperwork, things that need to be signed, all of it's digital. She's making money off of her mind and her IP, her intellectual property. All right. As a lawyer, I was I was watching a video the other day, and we've seen this I heard before. This is not anything new, but the lady, she was a fitness coach, right? And she was living in Bali somewhere, and she literally had a virtual gym set up, just like a real gym, where she had members that would log on every day, and they would work out together on video conferencing software like Zoom, talk to each other, hold each other accountable, be accountable. She had certain individuals she met with, I guess, as like coaching clients. She did that, but she was running a virtual gym while she traveled the world and lived her dream of being a digital nomad. And when I sat there and listened to her story was no different than everybody else that I heard. They came to a conclusion that they wanted to change. They said, okay, here's my line in the sand. This is what I'm willing to do in order to get where I need to go. And then they put their heads down and they started working their plan. They went to work. And in most cases, in order to gather enough resources, money, skill sets, and to be ready to launch themselves into this new way of living, most of them did a year or a little bit more of focused hard work while they were getting things together. But again, think about how many of us would gladly sacrifice a year if we knew at the end of it we could be free forever. Would you do it? Would you raise your hand to do it? And so the thing that I'm gonna ask you now is that if you're not happy with your situation, not happy with the job, the relationship, the home, where you live at, the bank balance, if you're not happy, when are you going to make a change? You know, when are you going to change it? What are you willing to do to change it? What kind of effort? What kind of time? And guys, I remember reading this as I was studying our personal development over the years. They said that a lot of people underestimate how much they can get done in 12 months if they focus. If they focus. What if the only thing standing in between you and a life of freedom is 12 months? All right. I don't know about you guys. I'm looking at 2026, right? I think that's the year 2026. But I'm telling myself, okay, head down time. Head down time. See, I'm free. I'm free time freedom. All right. But now I need to become financially free where I make enough so much money that I'll never have to worry about money again. All right. Hopefully I'll be location free in a couple of years when the last young one goes off to school. Me and the wife will be able to hit the truck, pull along the camper that we're going to have, and be able to hit the road and travel. That's why I'm working on what I'm working on right now. That's why I'm trying to build out ideals for multiple streams of income and put my head down and work. All right. We have one more year. One more year. One more year. So I know that I need to have certain things in place to be able to sustain us and for us to live this ideal life that I see us living, all right, in a year and a half from now. What are you willing to do? All right. And are you willing to do it for a year? And what I want to challenge you on, man, I want to challenge you guys, hey, try it. Prove me wrong. Decide on what you want to do, count the cost, effort, money, whatever to do it, and then create a plan. Remove all distractions, stop watching Netflix, stop watching the football games, and just say, okay, look, for the next year, I'm going to commit to taking all my extra time and I'm going to apply it to this plan so I can get free. And then do the year. What if? What if you could do that and it could change your life forever? All right. So something to think about, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Go ahead and get off here, and I'll catch you guys on the video tomorrow. God bless.